is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
Before we start our story, we're going to look at this jet scooting across the East Van skies on the chemtrail geoengineering path. So you can bet that they're out there planning on doing something or already started to do something. As he cuts through the cumulus clouds at 5,000-6,000 feet, a mile. Exactly where the oil spill is on the ocean floor, folks. So let's read something here. Grocer makes great. Greenpeace activists dressed as seafood. Hand out flyers at Save On Foods yesterday. Greenpeace awarded Overweighty a passing grade of 51%. Yesterday, the first passing grade in its second annual seafood sustainability rankings. 8 grocery chains were ranked on criteria like policy, labeling, and traceability of products. Considering they don't even tell you what artificial crab is made out of these days in the stores here in Canada, doesn't look like they're coming up to that standard at all. And why the hell isn't Greenpeace down in the Gulf of Mexico spending money instead of dressing up as stupid animals at a grocery store? These people are obviously privileged to be able to do this and spend time doing this during the day, and they obviously have a budget, and they obviously could be down cleaning up the beaches. So Greenpeace, you're just as bad as BP and Exxon for diverting attention away from this crisis. And MLA Spencer Chandra Herbert wants Pacific salmon, Chinook, coho, chum, pink, and sockeye left named as BC official fish in recognition of its social, economic, and cultural historic role now, because we don't really have a lot of salmon left anymore. So that idiot Spencer Chandra Herbert is about 50 years too late. So that's another depressing story. Then Emery is now in the prison down in the States for selling seeds and advising people on how to smuggle them across the border, and probably in jail with others that have been busted because he sold them seeds for something like 15 to 20 seeds for $200. Just incredible. He could have planted it all over the city if he really cared about marijuana legalization, but he's a money man, and now he's going to write a book about a Vietnam vet he's met down in prison there and make more money off of his incarceration, I guess. So he's a total opportunist, man. He'll be a Vietnam vets' rights advocate soon enough and be getting thousands of dollars for it, I bet, with his books. So, unbelievable day in the news. And the oil spill continues to settle to the bottom of the ocean and enter the Gulf Current, as well as the Loop Current and the Atlantic Current.
Here's a real issue, and I've been on a number of programs, Neil, as you know, talking about this. I think the cleanup job has been done pretty poorly, particularly as it gets closer to land. And there could be other things done that aren't being done to make the cleanup not only be more substantive, but to also appear to be more substantive. I've been advocating the use of barges with pumps to basically vacuum the oil off the surface, get rid of it forever. Seeing people with shovels on beaches does not impress me. Seeing booms that can't hold back a foot wave of oil doesn't impress me. But if we could somehow get those barges and pumps out there, or even out further into the ocean, super tankers sucking this stuff off the surface, I think it not only would help, but it would show how much more we could do to help ourselves.
Well, it does, John, you're right, and I know you mentioned this in your book, Why We Hate Oil Company. I mean, these kind of things just feed a negative perception, not that it's necessarily BP's fault or the government's fault, maybe everyone's fault. But when I look at these workers on the beach, and there aren't that many of them, it almost looks to me like a work release program. And they're way behind the tide on this, quite literally. So I'm wondering, where's all the manpower, even the volunteer power, to get out there full throttle, get onto the beaches, get into the water? I mean, even when you take these aerial shots of the affected area, it's not a whole bunch of action going on.
No, and people are spread out all over. You know, it's pretty boring work, if you think about it. And it's hot, and it's humid, and it stinks. It stinks, Neil. If you've been around crude oil, you don't want to breathe the stuff. It's got VOCs coming off that you don't know what it's going to do to your lungs over a period of time. I'm worried about those shrimpers out there who aren't used to this kind of work, but who need work to do. And they're out there skimming on the surface of the ocean. That's not a solution.
Real quickly, John, if BP does get a handle on this, or looks like even a tentative cap in the next 24 hours is working, the worst behind it?
Yeah, I think if they can sustain it, if they can keep the flow under control and give themselves the time while controlling the flow to drill the relief wells, provided the relief wells work. I mean, it's not a 100% option.
Yeah.
It's presented by some as a fail-safe, but as we know, a fail-safe doesn't always work.
You're right
so we
about
need an even more drastic alternative, perhaps, at the end of the day, such as implosion, which is not being talked about, but it's out there.
All right, well, a lot of people are imploding on this, but John Hofmeister, thank you very much.
Implosion, that's the nuclear option.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.